Sometimes, one sentence can change the course of history. That was the moment when you didn't just utter a sentence, but you literally brought all the lights of the stage on you. The energy in the air changed with that sentence. Everyone suddenly realized what a transformation they had witnessed. While they thought you were the same person they knew before, the words that came out of your lips tore down the walls, revealed secrets, and pulled the curtain down. Now, they will never forget that moment. Write 88 in the comments now. Don't just be a spectator, be a part of the story. With your support, we will become a giant family of 5,000 people. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us. Because your voice is engraved in everyone's memory, like a truth echoing in the darkness. They did not expect that courage. They did not think that with that clarity, a word would come out that would shake everything. Now looking back, they had to question not only you, but also their own truth. Think about the old oak tree standing in the clearing. No matter how deep the shadows fall, its roots hold firm while the world turns and changes. In the heart of a dark forest, a single lantern can reveal more truth than 100 torches set at a distance. That's what happened when your words pierced the silence. Suddenly, everything hiding in the shadows had nowhere left to run. The darkness that had seemed so permanent wasn't nearly as powerful as everyone thought. It just needed the right spark. And you, chosen one, became that spark, illuminating not only your path, but exposing the hidden twists and turns others hoped you'd never find. There's a kind of quiet courage that's born only in the fires of adversity. When you spoke, it was as if God Himself turned the page on your life, moving you from the background into the spotlight. It wasn't chance that set you here. Like a river finds its way through stone, destiny carved your way forward. Every time you wondered if you were in the right place, if you truly belonged, heaven was orchestrating every step, making sure you'd be in the exact spot when the time came for truth to rise. Sometimes the world feels like a room full of locked doors, and it can be tempting to believe the keys are lost. But the moment you raised your voice, doors that had been closed for years began to swing open. You didn't have to force your way in. Your presence alone changed the atmosphere. Old secrets started trembling. Things hidden in silence for generations found their way into the light. You became like a lighthouse in the storm, guiding those who were willing to see and exposing the games of those who preferred darkness. Your journey didn't begin the day the storm hit. Long before the bonfire, your roots were growing deep, fed by struggle, watered by quiet faith, strengthened by every season you stood alone. People may not have noticed the quiet work that shaped you, but heaven saw it all. Every prayer, every tear, every moment you chose integrity when it would have been easier to fold. These were the bricks in the foundation of the house you now stand in. God does His best building in the dark, and you are living proof. There's something about adversity that sifts the true from the false. When the flames began to rise, some ran away, but others drew closer, recognizing the warmth and safety in your light. You discovered that real connection isn't made in the easy seasons. It's forged in the heat. The friends who stood with you now are more than companions. They are your soul family, sent by divine appointment, chosen to walk this stretch of the road beside you. If you love a good mystery, subscribe for the untold truths of Scripture. Now, as the fire's glow reaches farther, people from every corner are drawn. Some are looking for answers, some for healing, some simply for a glimpse of hope. They sense something different about you. You're not just surviving, you're radiating peace in the middle of turmoil. There's a gentle authority in you, the kind that doesn't have to shout to be heard. God has entrusted you with a kind of peace that makes people wonder, how did they make it through all that and still shine? In times like these, when the wind howls and the night grows long, the temptation is to hide, to shrink, to keep your head down. But you chose to stand. Like a mountain unmoved by storm, you became a landmark, a reference point for others lost in the fog. Your story is a testimony that it's possible to remain unbroken, to keep loving, to keep believing, even when every reason says to give up. And as word spreads, as more people find their way to your fire, a new chapter is being written. This is the season where your wounds become wisdom, your scars become stories of hope. You may not have asked to be a guide, but your faithfulness in the shadows has qualified you for the sunlight. Those who once doubted are now learning at your feet. Those who tried to undermine you are quietly leaving the circle, unable to withstand the clarity of your light. What started as an attempt to silence you has become the very thing that amplified your voice. The tables have turned. The forest that once felt so threatening now stands as a witness to your strength. The bonfire you sparked has grown beyond anything you could have planned, sending out warmth and direction for others who are still searching for a way through. In all of this, never forget, the spark wasn't just about exposing what was wrong, but about lighting the way forward. You've shown the world that no amount of darkness can extinguish a heart set on truth. Your journey has become a living sermon, a message in motion for anyone who ever wondered if their small flame could really make a difference. And as you keep walking, as the flames keep burning, know that the very storm sent to take you out has become the reason for your rising. What looked like the end was really a beginning, God's way of clearing the field so something new, something holy, could take root. Keep standing tall. Keep shining. The night doesn't last forever, and the light you carry is exactly what the world has been waiting for. You're not just a survivor, not just a bystander. You are the fire that reveals, the warmth that gathers, the guide that leads home. The forest will remember, and so will the souls who found their way by your light. That chosen one is the legacy only a true overcomer can leave. Picture the way the morning sun breaks through a stormy sky. Suddenly, the clouds can't pretend anymore, and everything hidden is revealed in honest light. That's what your presence has become. Not just a shift in conversation, but the sunrise that signals an entirely new day. You're not here as a bystander in someone else's story. You're the dawn that makes the shadows run. The first warmth that wakes the earth after a long, cold night. It's not simply that you're alive in this moment, it's that you are the living threshold, the sign that the season is turning. There's something about you now that unsettles the ground wherever you walk. You might not see it, but the old patterns, those habits of silence and looking away, start to crumble just by the way you enter a room. It's like the whole world has been holding its breath, waiting for someone with the courage to speak the honest truth and let the winds change. When you open your mouth, it's not just conversation. It's the sound of dry earth welcoming rain after years of drought. People who thought they were fine with the status quo suddenly feel thirsty for something deeper, something real. You may notice it in the smallest ways. The conversation pauses when you enter, not because of fear, but anticipation. People set down their masks, even if just for a moment, drawn by the possibility that real connection is within reach. In your presence, the game of pretense loses its appeal. Like trees bending in a fresh breeze, those around you begin to feel that honesty is not only possible, but necessary. There's a weight to your words, a gravity that pulls hearts and minds towards something higher. Let me tell you, this isn't something you forced or faked. It's what happens when someone surrenders to the truth inside them, when they let go of trying to fit into worn-out molds. God didn't bring you through all you've seen and suffered just so you could blend in. He shaped you as a vessel, one that can carry the living water of wisdom and pour it into a thirsty world. There's a river in you now that can't be dammed up by old fears or other people's opinions. When you speak, it's like hearing a new language, the language of hearts finally coming home. There will always be those who try to shape the weather, who stir up storms to distract, who want to hold back the rain because they're afraid of what it will uncover. But the thing about the real sunrise is, no matter how long the night or how thick the clouds, nothing can stop the light from breaking through. You're the evidence that God's timing is perfect, that a new season begins not by force, but by presence. You're not here to compete with the noise. You're here to change the climate entirely. Watch how people respond when you stand in your truth. Some will retreat, uncomfortable with the clarity you bring, like shadows shrinking from the noonday sun. Others will draw near, grateful for a shelter that finally feels safe, for a leader who makes room for every voice that was once drowned out. You didn't ask for this authority, but it fits you now, as naturally as sunlight fits the morning. The hush that grows around you is not a silence of fear, but the reverence of people sensing the sacred in their midst. When you walk into a space, the atmosphere shifts. Old arguments lose their power, gossip dies on the vine, and even the most hardened hearts begin to soften. It's not intimidation that does this. It's the invitation you carry for people to be real, to come out of hiding and step into the light. They find themselves wanting to be better, to speak with honesty, to drop their old armor. Your presence isn't just welcome, it's transformational. This is what happens when you become a living well in a desert of pretense. You draw people who are ready to wake up, ready to be refreshed, ready to believe that there's more to life than just getting by. You become a touchstone for others, the proof that integrity isn't just possible, but powerful. God is using your story, your scars, your testimony as a North Star for those who have wandered in circles for too long. Unlock the doors of ancient faith. Subscribe for new episodes every week. You've entered a season where every word you speak plants a seed in someone else's garden. Some will take root quickly, bursting forth with new courage. Others may grow slowly, taking time to push through old, hardened soil. But make no mistake, the landscape is changing because you chose to show up as yourself, to let your inner river run free. People are building new habits around you, choosing honesty over convenience, purpose over comfort, peace over pretense. This isn't about being perfect or having all the answers. You know better than anyone how much it costs to stand in the light. But you also know that nothing else satisfies. The hush that follows you is a sign that people are listening for the real thing, that they're hungry for meaning, thirsty for something that can't be counterfeited. In a world that rewards performance, you've become a sanctuary where people can breathe, rest, and finally begin to heal. Let the new weather you bring be a comfort to you. The storms that once tried to drown you have made your roots deeper, your branches stronger. The change you usher in is not just for others, it's a promise for yourself too. Every day you walk in this calling, every time you choose truth over the easy way out, you're participating in the miracle of new beginnings. You are not here to echo what's already been said. You are the turning point, the answer to prayers whispered in the night, the gentle shift that lets the dawn come in. Keep pouring out that living water. Keep allowing your life to be the sunrise in someone else's dark night. The axis is turning, and because you're here, standing, shining, speaking, history itself is being rewritten. That's the power God placed in you. And it's just the beginning. It's like watching a seasoned fisherman cast his net into the water, certain of a bountiful catch, only to realize, as dawn breaks, that he's tangled himself in the very web he wove. There's a holy justice in the way the morning sun exposes what was once hidden beneath the surface. You've spent years navigating halls lined with invisible tripwires, learning to move with quiet caution, reading the air for the slightest shift in energy. Those who believed they could orchestrate your downfall now find themselves caught by their own cleverness, ensnared not by your hand, but by the laws of truth and consequence that God set in motion from the foundation of the world. It's a story as old as time. When those who manipulate in the dark become blinded by their own ambition, they miss the most important rule. The light always returns, and it does not discriminate. The sunrise doesn't ask for permission to shine, it just rises. And when it does, every hidden string, every silent plot is illuminated for all to see. Where you were once a guest in rooms thick with suspicion, you now carry the authority of someone who has nothing left to prove. You stand in the open, unafraid, while the architects of deception shrink from their own exposure. People used to wonder how you managed to move so quietly, how you survived when every step seemed to be a risk. The truth is, your survival wasn't luck. It was wisdom forged in adversity, patience refined in waiting, and faith that something greater was orchestrating your steps. The manipulators spun their webs, believing they controlled the narrative. But God, the master storyteller, always writes a better ending. While they plotted to isolate you, it was their own schemes that set them apart, their own patterns that became their undoing. Observers, some who doubted, some who merely watched, could not have predicted what happened next. Instead of witnessing your defeat, they saw a reversal that could only be described as divine irony. The energy meant to trap you circled back and entrapped those who sent it. The room once charged with tension is now filled with a stillness that only true victory brings. Those who cheered for your downfall are now left in awe, realizing that calm in the storm isn't weakness. It's the proof of God's presence, the peace that passes all understanding. Your quiet strength, the way you responded without retaliation, became the key that unlocked the whole charade. Where others would have lashed out or begged for validation, you simply stood firm, grounded in your truth, unmoved by chaos, trusting in a higher justice that sees every hidden thing. The plans of those who sought to unseat you have been dismantled by your refusal to play their game. The very cords they twisted now bind their own feet, each knot evidence that the universe is always keeping score. There's a spiritual lesson here that resonates far beyond the immediate conflict. God does not let the righteous go undefended, nor does he allow manipulation to reign forever. There is a time and a season for everything, a time to be silent and a time to be revealed. When you chose integrity over scheming, when you let patience be your shield and faith your guide, you set into motion a series of events that no amount of plotting could reverse. And now the tables have turned. The same people who expected to see you fall are scrambling for cover, their own reputations unraveling as the truth comes to light. Some are learning hard lessons about sowing and reaping, about what happens when you try to build your success on someone else's pain. Others are left searching for answers, wondering how their foolproof plan became the very thing that exposed them. Let it be known, your calmness was not passivity, but power in disguise. Your silence was not submission, but a waiting on the Lord who fights for you when your own words would only add fuel to the fire. This kind of victory doesn't shout, it simply stands, a living testimony to the faithfulness of God and the invincibility of truth. Every knot they tied in secret became a public lesson, not just for them, but for anyone watching. Proof that character, not cunning, wins in the end. You may not have seen the web unravel at first. You may have wondered if you'd ever be free from the games others played at your expense. But now, in the clear light of day, it's obvious. Your story is not about being the victim of traps, but the evidence that divine justice always turns the story around. The same people who tried to write your ending are now footnotes in your new chapter. The web closed, not around you, but around those who spun it. And as you move forward, let this victory be your reminder. There is a power greater than every hidden scheme, a light brighter than every shadow, a peace deeper than any storm. When you trust the timing, the process, and the presence of God in your life, you become untouchable. The world may plot and scheme, but you are never walking alone. The same hand that brought you through every dark room is the hand that parts the curtains and lets the light flood in. Keep your eyes fixed on that light. Let your heart remain soft, your spirit generous, and your faith unshakable. For in every reversal, in every unmasking, in every knot untangled, the message is clear. Those who walk in integrity will never be put to shame, and those who weave webs of deceit will always be caught by their own designs. You're living proof that the sunrise cannot be stopped, and that's a testimony worth telling for generations to come. Think of it like a river swollen by spring rains. What started as a whisper beneath the ice turns into a current that cannot be stopped. When the hand of God is in the details, what used to be hidden under layers of ice begins to flow freely, bringing everything in its path into the light. Unexpectedly, your story became that river. The world around you, once slow to catch up, suddenly found itself swept along by a force greater than rumor, stronger than slander, and far more persistent than any human plot. The water broke loose, and the truth was carried on its waves. The beauty of this season is how allies revealed themselves, not with grand speeches, but in the quiet way a neighbor might shovel your walk after a storm. Acts of faithfulness, not for applause, but because it's simply right. Some stepped forward who had watched you from the sidelines, holding onto records, screenshots, and memories that now stand as living testimony to your character. Others who had kept their distance, perhaps out of fear or uncertainty or past misunderstandings, felt something shift in the spiritual atmosphere and knew it was time to speak. You watched as old friends and unexpected advocates brought forth evidence, small and large, that began to rearrange the entire landscape. Even those who once doubted you found themselves swept into the current, unable to hold on to the old story as the waters of revelation rushed through. What's so remarkable is how, in the midst of it all, blame finally settled where it belonged, not on your shoulders, but on the schemes and motives of those who thought they could twist the narrative to their liking. It's like watching a pile of autumn leaves, raked up and scattered by a sudden wind, finally settle in the corner where the wind always meant them to go. The facts began to speak so loudly that even those who had set themselves against you were left with nothing but silence and the realization that the tides had turned. Don't think this was mere coincidence. Destiny leaves fingerprints on every door you walk through, every call you answer, every chance meeting that alters your course. You might remember those 3 pivotal phone calls, not just information, but transformation. The first brought confirmation that you weren't alone. Someone had been keeping watch, holding on to the truth until the moment it was needed most. The second revealed a defender you didn't know you had, someone fighting your battles in rooms you'd never entered. And the third peeled back the curtain, showing that your struggle was never just personal, but part of a larger, unfolding plan. This is the way the universe works for those who are called according to a higher purpose. What others intend for your defeat becomes the very vehicle of your victory. What they build to ensnare you, God turns into a bridge that carries you over trouble. The news didn't just travel, it became a proclamation. Allies didn't just appear, they stepped forward in divine timing, positioned by an unseen hand. And your detractors, even they swept along by the momentum of truth, couldn't help but witness the hand of providence moving the story forward. Let this remind you, no storm can stop what God sets in motion. When the river runs, it carves new paths, reveals old stones, and brings fresh water to thirsty ground. The narrative is no longer written by those who shout the loudest, but by the steady, faithful current of truth that refuses to be diverted. The river of revelation is flooding your life, washing away every falsehood, nourishing new possibilities, and making room for growth where only barrenness stood before. Behind every miracle is a message. Subscribe and discover them with us. Keep your eyes open for those divine fingerprints, those quiet moments when a phone rings, an email appears, a conversation unfolds in just the right way. They are signs that you are not forgotten, you are not abandoned. Destiny is at work, guiding each event and each heart into alignment with a plan that is bigger than anything you could orchestrate on your own. The lesson is simple but profound. When your life is anchored in truth, heaven itself will send the support you need. Even when the world seems against you, the tides will shift, the current will change, and what was once against you will be swept aside by a force greater than anything the opposition could muster. The facts will rise, the allies will emerge, and you will find yourself standing on ground that was prepared for you long before you knew you needed it. In this season, trust the river, trust the divine timing. Watch for the fingerprints of destiny, because what's coming next is not just vindication for your name, it's the opening of new doors, new alliances, and a new chapter written not by rumor, but by the hand of God Himself. You see now that every attempt to paint you as the problem only set the stage for your transformation. Every slanderous whisper became a stepping stone. Each closed door revealed another corridor. And the louder they tried to shout you down, the more their own motivations boomeranged. The very people they tried to enlist as witnesses against you became chroniclers of the real events, amassing evidence not to accuse you, but to clear the fog and point out the manipulators in their act. Through all of this, you never needed to shout, threaten, or chase vindication. Your consistency, your steady heart, and your willingness to let storms rage without joining their noise became the sign that drew new respect. People saw in you a model of what is possible when someone refuses to become what their enemies expect. Your enemies arrived ready for battle, armed with tricks and plans, only to discover you had rewritten the rules. Instead of reacting, you absorbed each blow, transformed it, and let it pass through, like a tree that bends but never breaks in the wind. The lesson? No matter how carefully a web is spun, the light of truth will always find a way in. And those who stand in that light unwavering become not just survivors, but signposts, leading others out of confusion, into clarity, and toward a deeper kind of strength that cannot be imitated or explained away. You're living proof that the real victory isn't just in outlasting the storm, it's in becoming the lighthouse by which others steer.